when did I realize that I was really, really done? There was a moment in my marriage where we would fight all the time. We would fight. And and tell me if this has ever resonated with you, if you've felt this, because it's a click. It's like a light switch goes off. So hands up if this story resonates with you. When I was with my ex-husband, he used to fight with me and tell me that I was that my body was disgusting. I need to work out. He would be like, no one's ever going to want you. Your body's gross now that you have 3 kids. Who's going to want a washed up, mom, like single mom? Like, you're never going to find anyone else. Like, no one's going to want you, right? Nobody wants you. And what's funny about that is like, yeah, you want me. You don't want me to leave you. You want me, right? Mike Marshall, right? So this is what he did to me. He devalued me, pushed all my buttons, not the good ones, right? He pushed all my buttons and made me feel like shit. And then I got super drunk. There's this one specific night I got super drunk and I set up a Match.com. I was like, we're done. Right? You think I'm ugly? Why do you even want me? You fucking hate me. Why do you want me? So I'm like, we're done. I guess we're done. So I just went to sleep and I set up a Match.com account because I didn't know how to do Tinder or any of those dating apps. I'm like, fuck that. Like, no one's going to want me? Yeah, right. I'm a hot piece of ass. Everyone's going to want me. So I set up this Match.com account and I basically, he knocked me down to keep you, which makes zero sense. It's like totally backwards, right? Exactly, Mike. So he would actually get so stressed out about money and then go to the casino and gamble it all away. That's how he would cope with his stress about scarcity. Was he'd go gamble all of it away. So it's a backwards thing. So he would knock me down just to keep me, right? He told me no one's gonna want me. He says I'm a piece of shit, disgusting. My body's gross to look at. Your belly's all squishy and your ass is flat. Like, nobody wants that. And so I'm like, okay. So I set up this dating app, and I went to bed. And I put separated on there. I woke up to like, I don't even know, 80 plus messages from men being like, hey, let's meet. And I was mortified. I'm still a married woman at this point, right? So I'm like, holy shit, what did I do? So I just deleted the app, completely deleted my profile, deleted it completely. In 8 hours that the app was live with my information on it, his best friend just happened to see me on there. And told him, right? So he tells him, your wife is on this app. Can you believe it? She says she's separated. Are you guys separated? What's up? And then he had this whole group chat with all of his boys being like, oh, I can't believe your wife is such a hoe. What is she doing? Blah, 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 right? You got answers to his questions, right? And he was like, basically, he woke me up in the middle of the night after a 32-hour shift. So I worked as a doula. I worked at home births, hospital births, and birthing center births, and I would support and help women and their partners through childbirth and help them, hold their hand and do all the things and massages and all that sort of stuff when someone was giving birth. I went to a birth. I come home from that birth. Thank you. I got 2 out of 20 crowns, 18 crowns left to go. I come home from that birth at 3 a.m, take a shower, go to sleep. He pulls the sheets off of me, okay? Pulls the freaking sheets off of me. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And I'm like, what is happening? Like, what are you? He's standing at the end of the bed. Just standing there with dead eyes, just standing there. So you're going to tell me? Are you going to tell me? And I'm like, tell you what? Like, what are you talking about? So scary, right? So scary. Were you going to tell me? And I'm like, tell you what? Like, I had deleted this app, not even thinking that in 8 hours his friend would see it. I didn't think that I'd ever have to bring this up to him. Tell me how long you've been having an affair. And I'm like, what? Like, what are you even talking about? Like, I'm sleep deprived. I'm going on 50 hours no sleep because I just worked a 32-hour shift. And I'm trying to sleep and the kids have to get up in 3 hours. And he's like, tell me how long you've been having this affair. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, so just out with it. Like, what are you trying to say to me? Say it, right? And he's like, I know you were on Match. I know that you put separated. I know you had a profile and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, I'll tell you the honest truth. I set it up the other night when you told me that I was disgusting and that no man would ever want me. And I had to prove to myself that a man would want me. And it turns out 80 plus men do. So, you know, that's what happened. I was mortified and I turned it off. I deleted it. I'm not on it. I'm not having an affair. Oh, you're a hoe, you're a slut, you're this and you're that. And he kept calling me all these names and fought with me for 3 more hours until the kids had to get up. Wouldn't let me sleep. Wouldn't even give me the sheets back. I was just like, you know, just stuck at the top of the bed, like fighting, right? I'll hook him up with my ex-wife. They would be perfect. Oh my gosh, I know. And so, yeah, like that was the sleep deprivation and that type of abuse that was happening. And I got up that day. I was crying. I wouldn't stop crying. And I was getting the lunches ready for the kids and the stuff for school. Thank you. We got 17 left. So he was calling me a slut, a whore, a cheater, a liar, yelling at me in front of the kids. He was yelling at me in front of the carpet cleaners because the carpet cleaners had come over that day. And the carpet cleaners were like, is everything okay? Are we good to stay here? Like, should we leave? And he's just like, oh, it's just okay. My wife's a whore. My wife's a cheating, lying whore. Like, he's saying this to the carpet cleaners. It was so uncomfortable. And I'm fucking crying, right? Like, crying. Our narcissistic ex dating app, create the profiles, right? So I'm crying, and I'm just like, trying to make the lunches and doing all this shit. He dicks off somewhere. And I book an appointment to get my nails done by my girlfriend, Mia. And when he comes home, I leave. Hi, Dreams. What's up? As I'm leaving, I get the dreaded phone call. And I see his name on my phone, and I know what that phone call is. It's the apology phone call. Every time we had a big fight like this, and he would yell and scream at me, and I would be crying all day. And he was like pissed. If I was crying, he'd be pissed. He'd be like, why the fuck are you crying? Like, wipe your face. You're just so pathetic. He would say shit like that to me, right? And I got the phone call, and I put it on the big speaker in the van. We had this minivan. And I'm like, hello? And he's like, hi, baby. Hey, honey. I just wanted to let you know that, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about today? What are you doing? Where are you going? I'm like, I'm getting my nails done. He's like, yeah, we were pretty upset today, huh? You were pretty upset today. And this is where the gaslighting really started to begin, because I'm like, what the fuck are you trying to do to me right now, right? This is not a sorry. Whatever this is so inauthentic. It's bullshit. I'm seeing right through it, but I'm also fawning over it, like I'm kind of needing that soothe, because when a narcissist abuses us, they tend to be the one who soothes us. So we get this abuse and then soothe. So we get abused and then they put a Band-Aid on. So we need that Band-Aid sometimes, right? So I'm craving this Band-Aid from him, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. And then he goes, I just have to tell you something, and hopefully this will make you feel better. About 8 months ago or so, I hired a prostitute, right? And I'll say, out of respect for sex workers, I'll say escorts. He tended to have escorts all the time. This is the first time hearing of it. I didn't know anything about this. Before we got married, yes, he had this run-in with escorts. He had another run-in. He was in the news because he got robbed by one. And he just had a thing with them, right? So why did it be any different when we were married? It wasn't. He was clearly still seeing escorts, right? And that's where a lot of our money went to. I had financial abuse and everything like that, but a lot of it I thought was just gambling, drugs, and alcohol. I didn't realize it was also escorts. So he tells me for the very first time that he hired an escort. 8 months ago, I hired an escort, he says to me. And I didn't sleep with her, honey. I didn't. Because what she did was she robbed me. She robbed me. I paid $650 and the girl didn't even show up. She didn't even show up. So we got robbed, man. We got robbed. And like, yeah, it's a shitty thing that you did with the Match.com and all that sort of stuff. But I do shitty things too. So don't feel so bad about what you did, okay? Okay, honey? This is how he talked to me. And I was on the phone and I immediately was like, that's the light switch. Gotta go to bed. Love you. You're so brave. Thank you so much. I said to him, wow, like, you don't know what you just lost. What? Huh? Because I was already planning like an exit strategy with our therapist, but I wasn't like at the point yet where I felt ready to just like let things go. But that was the moment I took my rings off. That was the moment. And I said to him, I'm like, you know, when you were in jail, because he went to jail like shortly after our wedding. When you were in jail, I had many good-looking guys that I could have with, but that's the kind of loyal wife you have. This guy, we'll call him Adam. He was very jealous of this Adam because he thought me and him had a thing, and he even confronted him one time and said, "How come you were flirting with my wife and all of this sort of stuff?" And Adam's like, "I don't hook up with married women. That's not me. Me and Ro are just friends." And I said to him, Adam is so fucking hot. Okay, yes, he was in jail. I'm like, Adam is so hot. And I could have. When you were in jail, I could have. But I didn't. That's the fucking loyal bitch you have that you will never get again. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, this is over. This is done. This is an apology. You telling me that you tried to hook up with a escort and you didn't get your way because they robbed you is your way of apologizing for all this shit that I had to put through today, being yelled at and screamed at and like belittled and berated in front of the carpet cleaners and our kids. This is the type of relationship that I'm trying to mend. No, it's over. That's the moment I took the rings off. That's the moment that I just said no. And I said to him, listen, I said, Adam is hot and I could have had him. But that's not the kind of wife you married. And you're never going to find someone like me again because that's how fucking loyal I am to a piece of shit like you. And you know what he said to me when I said that? Take a guess what he said to me in reply to that. Take one guess. How did he respond to that? Right, a normal man would have had said, they were sorry you left, felt low about yourself and needed outside validation, right? Or taken some accountability for the fact that he told me that I was so ugly that no guy would ever want me, right? And just listen to the whole rest of my story, which was I had it. Good luck with Adam? No, he didn't even say that. This is what he said to me. I said to him, you have such a loyal wife right here. You will never find someone like me. Ever. Because the piece of shit that you are, thinking that this kind of weird ass confession of having an escort 8 months ago is some sort of weird apology for calling me all these names today and making me cry in front of all these people. That is your apology. And I'm sitting here being super loyal to you, knowing how hot this guy is, and I could have had something and I didn't, because that's not me. He says to me, I knew it! All the times I asked you if you thought he was hot, and you said there was nothing between you two. I knew there was something there. I knew it. You're such a liar. You're such a fucking liar. And I'm like, what? Wow. I'm like, wow. Oh, my friends were right. We're in a group chat talking shit about you. We're all talking shit about you. Talking shit. They're like, so sorry that I had to marry some piece of shit like you. We're all in a group chat talking shit about you. If they didn't find you, then what? Then what, huh? You'd just be sitting around on your Match.com getting all these dates. Then what? It's a good thing my friend found you. And I'm like, your friends all have hit on me. Your friends are not ride or dies. When you were in sobriety, when you were trying to get sober, all your friends took you out for drinks all the time, tempting you with the booze all the time. You don't have ride or dies. You don't have a good solid support system like I do. I'm going to get through this and you're not. And your friends that are sitting in a group chat calling me a whore and whatever else they're calling are going to be the very first ones who swipe right on me when they see me on a dating app when I'm single. Those are your friends. And he didn't have anything to say. I just hung up, got my nails done, and my girlfriend Mia was like, "Where are your rings?" I'm like, "Oh, they're in my pocket. I just took them off right now, literally right before I got here." And she's like, "It's over." I'm like, "It's over." That was the moment I mentally checked out. So this is a really roundabout and long ass story to whoever asked me when was the moment I knew it was over. That was the moment. And I'm telling you right now, if anyone who's in it, anyone who has this narcissistic relationship or who is in something toxic, and you're still stuck in this, like, should it work? Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't work. There will be a moment and it'll click for you and you'll never forget that day. You will never forget that moment when you said, "No, we're done. We're completely over." You'll never forget that moment. That was the moment for me. Mine would have said, "Well, what did you do to make them think it was okay to hit on you," right? They never take accountability. That moment is literally everything. It is, Chelsea. That moment is clarity. That moment is clarity. And sometimes in my coaching, when I work with you one-on-one, I will help you find that moment. Sometimes something I say will click and it'll actually happen for you in real life, right in your home.